presence tonight of a Bodhisattva warrior. The Women's Weekly just recently called her an angel on earth, and I can see her legs shuffling as I say these things. Discomfort, you know. She's also a really humble woman. She's worked with something like 80,000 people. She's the founder of the Quest for Life Centre, and I'm really looking forward to having a conversation with her on stage. I also have some questions that you also asked in the ticketing process, which I look forward to asking her as well. But please, let's welcome Petrea again.
I remember one man, I'd never met him, and he died 10 minutes after this conversation. His wife was very concerned that he wasn't at peace, and there were a whole range of really good reasons in his family for him not to be at peace. And he was on oxygen, and I went in and I just put my hand on his and said, look, right now breathing is really hard work for you. However, your wife, she's yearning to know whether you're at peace. And this is the only conversation we ever had. He took off the mask, he breathed for a little while, took off the mask, and he said, tell her I'm deeply at peace and I'm ready for the next adventure. Back went on the oxygen mask. And I was able to give that to his wife, and they fell in each other's arms and he died. You know, this is such a privilege. Such an enormous privilege. So for me, you know, if I thought for a moment my job was to fix people or to make them better, I'd be a cotcats, because I can't do that. But when we serve one another, then we're of service to the same thing. You know, the first nature in you is the same as in me, and when we serve that, then life is served, and we all benefit. And so for me, these are not negative. I mean, some of it's profoundly sad, you know, when parents lose children to illness and tragedies and trauma, and I don't think there's a story we haven't heard of murder and rape and mayhem and torture and stalking and incredible stories of suffering. But it's so healing to provide a safe environment in which people can utter what has been unutterable up until now. And it's so rich with humanity and divinity all at the same time, and compassion, that it's a tremendous privilege, and nothing that I ever find exhausting about that. Administration of an organisation, amazing time, and I think things are getting better and better and worse all at the same time. And I have a real sense that there are two distinct paradigms emerging, and one is in the process of crumbling and disintegrating because it's built on a shaky foundation in the first place. And the other is something that I think everyone here really relates to, that is based on compassion and respect and kindliness and all of the things that we're absolutely capable of bringing into fruition on the planet. And so I get a real sense that there are these two parallel universes. And sometimes when I meet people, it's almost like they come from another dimension altogether. And that's all unfolding beautifully. And I suspect that Australia does have a part to play in that. Not that we haven't been particularly ravaged ourselves, but in Sydney there's almost this kind of bubble of everything's okay. And I think it's important to look outside the window and see what's happening. If you don't have suffering in your own life, then we've only got to look outside to see that there's lots of it. And then the question becomes, well, what's the most useful thing that I can do given that there is this great suffering in the world? And that's really about fulfilling your own purpose, what you're here on the planet to contribute, because every single person has a unique contribution to make, whether it's through the drone flute, whether it's through the voice, whether it's through a profession, a career. And so to fulfill your purpose in that way of service, I think, is a real key, and yet oftentimes we don't stumble into understanding that except with crisis. And we talk about the D's in life, you know, that often we go along just living out of second nature. It might be second nature for me to not sleep so well when I'm in the midst of challenges. It might be second nature for me to drown my sorrows, to numb myself. It might be second nature to fill up my diary with too many commitments so that I don't have time to feel. It might be second nature to me to have a physical symptom. But then we hit one of the D's in life, and a D might be a disappointment or a drama or a disaster, a divorce, a diagnosis, a death, a debt, a disfigurement, a disability, a drought, a downpour, a dementia. You hit one of these D's in life, and everything that's second nature to you doesn't work. And you get to that wonderful, awful, fabulous, terrific place where you say, that's it, something has to change, and it's me. I can't change the D. I can't change whatever the thing is out there. What I can change is who I'm going to be in relationship to that. Am I going to be defined by that? Can I be more than that? Am I going to be confined by that? Am I going to use that as my story? Or can I get to a place of, I have a story, I don't have to be my story all the time. And so once we get to a place where we say, that's it, something has to change, and it's me. Whether we keep bumping into the same conflict in our relationship, or the same conflict in our family, or the same, whatever it is that stops us in our tracks. And then we find peace is very practical for us. It has, you know, 4 particular attributes. We need to regain control over our response to life. So we need to stop reacting, because a reaction is simply a reactivation of the past that we live again in the present. And we need to learn how to respond, not react. We need to have a commitment to living, which is about a deep reverence for our life. And that shows up in our priorities, in our communication, and in issues of forgiveness, because a lot of people are still trading off what happened to them in the past and using that as some excuse for their behaviour in the present. We need to make meaning out of our life, because these challenges that come cause us to have to, if we're to find peace, to make meaning of the experience. So illnesses and accidents and traumas and disasters don't have intrinsic meaning. It doesn't mean something that those things happen. We have to make meaning out of it. And we might make meaning that it's a nightmare and it shouldn't be happening, but if we want peace, it is happening. And these things are usually the things that push us into parts of ourselves we'd never explore otherwise. And if we can make meaning of our suffering, then every moment becomes a sacred moment. Every encounter becomes a holy encounter. And then you live a life of meaning. And the 4th aspect, so the first one is regain control over your response to life. A deep commitment to revere the life that you have for the purpose for which life was given you, which is not about getting more stuff, but is about playing the part that you have come to the planet to play. So finding out your purpose and living it on purpose. It's about our challenges and how we're going to make meaning out of our life. And the 4th one is our sense of connectedness, both to our own authentic spirit, but also for some to the land, for some to their loved ones, family, community, but at that profound level to our first nature, in which we see that the other is myself. And so we see that profound connection of how could I do to you what I wouldn't do to myself, because I would perceive you as myself. And so those 4 qualities really become what peace of mind is. Peace is not a passive, wishy-washy state of acceptance. It's a dynamic state of being in which we feel able to embrace every moment, regardless of its challenges, with a quiet mind and an open heart.